Welcome to Detail TV, the free show for DSLR shooters. My name is RC, and this show is going to be very, very different from all of our other shows. We have Mr. Trey Ratcliff. Trey is an author.
Yes.
Photographer.
If I must be so categorized.
Artist.
Artist. Let's go with that first.
Artist.
Yeah.
Artist, photographer, app developer.
Yeah.
There's like a left and a right brain. What's going on, man?
There is. How are you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good.
So we wanted to kind of keep this a little bit loose.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
It started off on an idea that you had given us over coffee.
Yeah. It's, we can take this many different ways, but I know, after hanging out with you in Google Plus and in real life, we've met all over the world in different places, that you're as interested in the artistic side of photography as I am. I see this all as sort of this great right-brained experiment in creating art and bringing it to the internet. And so this is kind of how I've lived my life, and these are the kind of discussions you and I usually have, so we can have this kind of discussion here today as well.
Right. So it's going to be live. It's going to go in a lot of different places, and one of the things that I think that's cool about it is that it all revolves around a very, very big passion project that you have going on the iPad being Stuck on Earth. So let me go ahead and tell you guys about Stuck on Earth. It's an app that's designed to be able to give you a photographic experience of the entire world, right? So,
right.
And then I've been boiling that down.
Yeah,
my little
tight.
My little one sentence thing. But so we're talking about it, and it was the entire concept of app as a lifestyle, and I think that you honed in on a lot of interesting things when we were talking about that. How this app is kind of designed for an experience. Tell me about that.
Right. Well, so I feel like I've kind of uncovered one of the great secrets of life, and it is that you should try to fill your life with as many awesome and wonderful experiences as possible. And this is actually kind of a tough thing to do, right? What I've found is that whenever I travel, for example, I tend to like traveling and taking photos, and this is sort of my life, that I have great difficulty in finding the best places to go quickly, okay? For the last few years, I've cobbled together a series of different apps and web pages and forums, and piecing together the best places to go and have these awesome experiences is very, very difficult. It's very hit and miss. So I built this app very much for myself, because this helps to dramatically increase the amount of awesome in your life. And it doesn't matter if you travel or maybe you're just going a few hours from your home. There's beautiful places everywhere. And what this app does is it delivers those beautiful places to you so you can bring it into your life, and you can start to add stories to your life. Because as much as life is about having adventures and having great experiences, it's also about collecting stories that you can share with your kids, with your family, with other people online. So this helps to affect the gestalt of all of this.
And it's one of those things that I think that's largely ingrained in who you are as a person. I mean, you're a traveler, you love making art. So the synthesis of all of that stuff, I think, is really, really interesting inside of that app.
Yeah, so my life is not because of some master plan. It's, this is sort of an iterative thing that's developed over time. And because of the main blog at stuckincustoms.com, where I've started sharing a different photo every day for the past 5 years, we've now gotten to this point where every day the photos get over 150,000 views. And so we've built up this really interesting kind of audience, a sort of travel channel, photo-curious type audience. And all of these people are all just tremendously interested basically in the same kind of stuff that I am. And just because of this path that I've accidentally gone down, I've accidentally become an expert in travel and photography and just having experiences. So I thought, all right, well, why not take all of this stuff that I've figured out over the past 5 years and boil it down into a really tight app that I can use and other people can use to kind of augment their natural selves. Because we do use technology nowadays to enhance our real lives. And there was nothing else like this out there. So this is really kind of an original idea. And I built this with a couple other people in Austin. Even though I built it for myself, I know I'm an edge case. Really, I do understand the bulk of the bell curve, and it's largely built for all of these people.
Right, and it's one of those things that it's doing very well. I checked.
Yeah.
It's pretty high up. I think it was last time we checked, it was what, number 5?
Yeah, hit
of
number
all that.
5,
So it's
yeah.
doing well. So I'll tend to brag for Trey quite a bit, man. But you know, the part that I think that's really, really cool, and I kind of want to go back and talk and just dot a couple of different things that we're talking about there, was you've been posting a picture a day for about 5 years.
Right.
Now you're up to about 150,000 people that watch a picture. What do you think is? And I want to turn this on an interview now, on you, but what do you think is the reason for that success? Is it part now? For those of you who don't know, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is on the HDR space, and we're going to talk about HDR in a little bit and things like that. But do you think that it's because of HDR that people come? Do you think that people come for the art, or do people come for like consistency?
Yeah, well,
What's
there's many different reasons, and I do analyze all this stuff because I'm interested, just scientifically, in why do people keep coming back. By the way, let me throw in a little aside that this app that we're talking about is free.
Right.
Okay.
It's a free app.
Right.
You can download it on the iTunes.
And so
Store.
I'm happy to promote a free app. So anyway, so let's go back to this question of yours. People come first for the photography because it strikes them as interesting and different and has a certain style. And I'm very humble about all this stuff. I can't believe any of it's happening, so on and so forth. I really just create this stuff for me, and I put it up. And insofar as other people like it, it's great, right? More fuel on the fire, jump on in, the water's warm. So now that I've said that, they first come for the photos, and then I think they kind of stay for me. Because not only do I put up a new photo every day, but I talk about it. I talk about the art behind it, sometimes the science behind it, sometimes how I make this kind of stuff. Because I think that everybody out there likes taking photos. And one of our biggest audiences is really people that would not call themselves photographers. Most people out there, the word photographer is not something how they would ever classify themselves. Maybe to them, photographer still kind of means like the creepy uncle or something, right? But these are, there's millions and millions of people that have DSLRs, and they just want to take better photos. And they see my photos, and they think, oh my gosh, that's really interesting. I wonder how he did that. And then I show them how I did it, and then I invite them in to join and have fun, and we can all create together. There's not a finite amount of attention or money or anything like that out there. And we all work together to create stuff and bring it onto the internet. It makes a richer experience for everybody and a richer experience for me.
So we wanted kind of to get a little bit of a conversation started on most of this stuff. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to be able to kind of take a tour. And I want to be able to answer a couple of questions, because I know that you guys are going to want to have some questions answered on HDR and what kinds of things we want to do for processing. So we'll do all of that stuff when we come back on this special episode of D-Town. Stick around.
Have you ever seen a close-up photograph and thought, wow, I wonder how they made that? Wait till you see what we're going to photograph in my new close-up classes. We're going to photograph dropping strawberries into water and freezing them, taking pictures of rocks, the flowers, colored pencils, all kinds of great things, and we're going to make them look big like this.
And in the class, we're going to photograph all this stuff here. Look at this. Please come join me at kelbytraining.com. We're going to have a blast.
Welcome back, everybody, to D-Town TV, the free show for DSLR shooters. Mr. Trey Ratcliff.
Hello.
I'm RZ. So let's go ahead and take a quick tour, Stuck on Earth.
All right.
And in the middle of all of that, we're going to start doing some HDR stuff.
Sure, you can ask me questions as we go through this. So let's go ahead and start the experience over like we're a new user. I'm going to click up here, and I'm going to restart the app. And she's going to say hello, welcome, so on and so forth. I'll type in my name. Now, she says something special for me because, it's sort of a little Easter egg, but she says many people's names. You pick what kind of personality you are. Probably most people watching here are photographers.
Right.
But the whole app changes based on your personality type. It's a little bit like an RPG. So we'll pick the photographer personality type and continue. That kind of sets up the whole app for that kind of experience, okay? And so we'll jump in, and immediately you're taken to this world map. And this is really one of the main interfaces for the app. On this map, we have millions of locations of the best places on Earth to go visit and explore and experience. Now, the way we do this is a combination of algorithm plus crowdsourcing plus human curation. And it's when these three things work together in sort of a delicate ballet that creates a great user experience altogether.
Nice. Now, before you do anything else, let me just kind of throw in a couple tips here just to keep you guys on this. One of the biggest mysteries of where to be able to go shoot, or one of the mysteries for taking pictures, a lot of the times, people are like, oh my God, how'd you find that one location? How'd you find that one location? You go on the internet and you find these things and you talk to different people. And like when I go on location somewhere, I'll spend the better part of a day and a half, 2 days, trying to scout an image. And you try to find the time of day that you want to shoot. You try to find the location that you want to be able to do. People troll Flickr to be able to go find these kinds of things, to be able to find great shots. So if you're a photographer that's looking for a great shot, rather than just kind of going around, I'm going to Minnesota, as soon as you get to Minnesota, going, all right, well, what's good here? It's a good idea for you to be able to use something like Stuck on Earth, where go to Minnesota. Take a look at the pins that are in Minnesota and start taking a look at those locations as a start for where you want to be able to shoot.
Right. And so this is the whole world all in one app. You know, there's a few different apps like this out there, but there's maybe one for Yosemite, one for Japan, so on. This is everything all in one, and it's better than all those separately. So, like, as you zoom into different areas, like I bet here as we zoom into the San Francisco area, you'll see different kinds of call-outs and different sorts of human-curated list. Like, for example, here's the top 50 secret spots in San Francisco. This is a human-curated list made by Thomas Hawk, who's a well-known photographer in that area, and he knows this place really well. And so now we have hundreds of photographers all over the world putting together their own top 50 curated list for their own cities. You're going to make one too, aren't you?
That's right.
RC's top 50 spots in the world or whatever. And as you zoom in on these, you can click on them and see exactly where they were taken. It becomes full screen, and you have all kinds of information about the shot. There's a link to Thomas. You can jump right to his Flickr page. You can follow him. And as you scroll through here, you see all these really cool places that you can go, in the San Francisco area to see cool things. If you like a spot, you can add it to a trip, okay? And this is really probably one of the coolest things about it. Here's a sample trip that it comes with. This one's called Adventure in France. And these trips are saved offline for you. Like, I've used this on my last 4 trips. And I know that you don't have internet when you really need it, right? But you want to be able to save these spots so you can access them when you're on the road. So every one of these locations, there's a full description and there's a map that's saved. So it saves the local map, it saves the description. All of this stuff goes into your trips.
Now, does it save the time of day?
No, that's kind of up to the photographer.
Right.
Like when you look at this one, this is an HDR shot outside of the Sorbonne.
Okay.
And, I think a photographer might look at this and go, oh, that's really nice lighting he got in that situation. But they might also envision like, oh, what might it look like at night when the Sorbonne is lit up? What might it look like in the middle of the day? But you can go to these places and take the same shot or a similar shot. It's basically like the ultimate scouting tool.
Now, for you, because I know that a lot of people ask about different types of, HDR questions, time of day. Do you have a specific time of day that you like to be able to shoot your HDR?
Well, this shot is a really good example. This is my favorite time of day, right around dusk, where you have a combination of ambient dusk light or sunset light and artificial light, like when the lights come on buildings, the lights come on little cafes. It's that mix of light that's always just wonderful to me. That doesn't mean you can't take good HDR shots in the middle of the day or in the middle of the night, but this, to me, really kind of gives it that nice painterly look. And that is a time of day, really, and ironically, it's not necessarily the best HDR situation because what you're getting is a lot of even sort of light, right? Because the sun is not too intense because it's not in your face, and the artificial light is not too intense, but everything is just sort of soft and painterly. And it's that time when you feel like you're actually in sort of an impressionist painting. And now the HDR process, it does its magic really on a pixel by pixel level, right? It's not necessarily best for these large scale compositing situations where you have a really bright sky and a really dark ground. It works fine for those situations. But here, when everything is kind of evenly lit, I think this is when HDR really shines, because you can get these little micro contrast areas. You get the little texture in the leaves, you get the texture in the cobblestones, you get the mixture of the warm and cool light. And as your eye flows over it, it just makes sense and it's easier to accept. So anyway, this is my favorite time to shoot HDR.
Yeah, I was looking, I'm looking at all of this kind of stuff. Like, you don't have a lot of halos. You don't have any halos. I mean, the image looks great. That's one of the things that we get asked a lot about. Like that one section where they're just like, how does it not halo? How do you not do that? How do you work that? And
well, there's a few weapons to fight the halo monster with. What I typically do is when I shoot, I take 5 pictures by one stop from -2 to +2. That's what I do 95% of the time.
Okay.
And then one of those exposures, usually the -1, has a really nicely exposed sky. And I'll layer that in to the photomatics result, and I'll mask through so that I get that clean sky with no halo over to that transitional zone. And that seems to work really, really well. There's many other ways to fight halos, but that's typically what I do. And also because if you use that -1 sky, especially during the daytime, that's usually the prettiest sky. And photomatics will mess up the sky, right? It'll take blues and make them too gray. It'll take white clouds and put some black streaks in them. It'll do weird stuff, because the problem with photomatics and all HDR software is that it doesn't know the difference between above the horizon and below the horizon. It thinks that everything should be evenly lit all over the place. But really, as humans who navigate the Earth, we know that everything that is above the horizon is generally brighter than everything below the horizon. So everything that is above the horizon should be a few stops brighter than everything below the horizon. So oftentimes what you can do is you can draw a box around everything above the horizon and go into curves and brighten that up a little bit. And that makes it more acceptable when people see it. An overly dark sky, overly black clouds, especially when there's blue sky and black clouds, that's a key indication that it's just way, too much HDR on drugs.
Nice. Now, in terms of post-processing, after the HDR stuff is done, do you do a lot of work with post-processing stuff? Like, do you do software? Is there any other post work that you do, let's say post-photo, any use of filters or anything like that you work with?
Yes, so I love tools. Tools are fantastic.
I use a lot of tools.
Yeah, wonderful. And this actually does speak to a larger point, and this is something I see photographers fight a lot against, in that they do love going out to take the photos, but there's some kind of block they have against the post-processing, or maybe they'll just do a little bit of post-processing at the minimum post-processing, because they really don't feel comfortable in that environment. But at some point, I hope that, and I know you and I have done this, is you cross the Rubicon and you enter this world where you enjoy the post-processing just as much as taking the photos. And so once you do cross that Rubicon, you start to collect all these various tools that are out there. And you have this vast array of cool stuff you can use at any time. And as you know, there's no one way to do any of this stuff, right? There's a million different ways to do this stuff. And so I love having all these tools available to me. So specifically to your point, what I'll do oftentimes after I'm done cleaning up an image is I'll go use some sharpening tools. Because photomatics and all these HDR tools, they can wash out your image. And they do make sometimes things too painterly. And the human eye, when you look at a photo, one thing the human eye likes to see, in addition to color and light and so on and so forth, is it does like to see line and shape, because as the eye traverses a photo, it will catch on to lines and it will start to trace along the lines. And Photomatix can get rid of all those lines. So using sharpening tools, even something free like Unsharp Mask, can help bring some pop back into your photo. But there's other tools, I'm sure you know as many as I do, probably even more, that help bring this pop back into the photo.
Nice, very, very cool. All right, so we set up trips. We have the ability to be able to tag these trips. We can geolocate these trips, and we can create this compendium of images that sit worldwide.
That's right. Here's one of the other cool things about this app. I mean, there's so many features I could talk about. One is if you pick the photography type personality, if you click up here on the little lens, you get a free ebook that's filled with all kinds of tips. Okay, so that's really cool. Just tip after tip with some pretty photos to give you some ideas. I know the crowd here likes tips.
And you know what? And that's the thing. It's just like a lot of the times, we knew when we were walking into this that this was going to be a longer and it was going to be more extemporaneous D-Town session. But if you guys want tips, just get the app. You hit that thing right there, and you have a ton of different tips that are all available to you for free. So I think that part, I think, is pretty cool.
So here's another really cool aspect, because sometimes you don't know what you want to do, right? Not everyone can just zoom into an area and find stuff. That's not how they plan trips. Sometimes they just need to be inspired or just have weird ideas come at them. And you could do that this way. If you go home, by the way, this is the screen that you see every time you open up the app. It's totally personalized just for you. And we have these top 50 lists down here. These are all human curated and all kinds of cool things. Like, for example, we have the top 50 spots for daydreamers. And of course, they're not just my photos, but they're people's photos from all over the world. And as you go in here, you can start to scroll through and you just get ideas for photos, right? You think, oh, you know, monkeys, or, you know, where's this? That's interesting. And then you can open this up and get a description and see exactly where it's located. And maybe you can add this to your trip. Right. And if you wanted to add it, say like, oh, I'd really like to go here someday, you could just add it to the someday trip. Or you can add it to your own trip that you create.
So it's not just scout, it's also inspiration.
That's right, to give you ideas. Because I assume that other photographers are like me in that you just like to have beautiful images come at you. You know, you appreciate all this great art from around the world, and it gives you ideas, and you might see something in there like, oh, I might try to recreate something like that someday. So really, I get inspired so much by other photographers. There's so many amazing photographers out there nowadays that are doing incredible work. And this is a great way that it features their work. And I get to meet all kinds of photographers. I think we're giving all these people that are part of this thousands and thousands of new views on their work. So it's not just great for me, but I think it's great for the entire community that gets involved, because they get more publicity, they get more views on their work, and all of us together get more inspired.
Nice. Very, very cool. Thank you very much, man. Thanks
Sure.
for stopping by. This is
bet.
cool. Now, obviously, we have to have you guys win some stuff here. I want you to take a look at some things. So we've put together a special prize pack for you to be able to do this. What you're going to do is you're going to go to the KelbyTV.com, KelbyTV website /DTown TV. And what you want to do is leave a comment. Leave a positive comment, negative comment, whatever it is that you want to do. Chances are, negative comments, you're not going to win anyway. But it's when, I don't want to hear no app war and none of that stuff. Right. But just tell us what you thought was interesting about the show. Tell us what you think about Stuck on Earth. Go to the iTunes website, review it. Make sure you leave a comment on that. But talk to us about, you know, what kind of photographer you are, what kind of things you find inspirational. Leave us some sort of information. If you do, you're going to win a copy of On One Perfect Suite 6, thanks to Brian Matias, who's another phenomenal HDR photographer.
Brian's a good guy, too, and he works there at On One, and I know he loves it. He loves their products, and they make good stuff.
Yeah, so you'll get that. You'll also get the complete connection from Nick Software. So when we're talking about tools and things that you want to be able to use, you're tooled up there. You'll also get Trey's best-selling book, A World in HDR. Phenomenal book. I like it. You're not going to get this copy because this one's mine. Sorry. As well as my copy of the HDR book. And mine, I tend to spend a lot of time talking about the post-processing side of it. So I'm a very Photoshop related guy. So a lot of the stuff that I do is all on once you take your HDR pictures, this is what you're going to do with
It's
it
an
with
excellent
Photoshop.
book. I recommend everyone get it. It's good stuff.
Thanks, man. I
I
appreciate
give you a
it.
big thumbs up. Yeah.
So leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. And one of you guys. Oh, we're also going to give away. Do you want to give away a couple of the stuck?
Yeah, I have
You
a.
can give away for everything.
I
It's
have
free.
an HDR video tutorial on our
Ooh,
website.
that'd be good.
It's like 11 hours watching me post-process, and I go after example after example. It's great. So that's, I think it's a $97 package, and let's give away 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
To 3 different
So,
people.
3 different. Okay, so 3 different
Right.
people are going to get that. One of you guys is going to get this. So that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of comments, and hopefully you found this a little bit inspiring. So Trey, thanks so much.
All right.
Thanks so much for stopping
You
by.
bet.
Thank you guys for stopping by. Next week's going to be the season finale, so make sure you tune in. D-Town TV. Take care.